Here sits me, a coffee in hand. Third one already, truth be told. Just thinking. Outside the glass, a stillness settles. Hush wraps around everything. Green blades rise again across the soil, slow but sure. Back come the birds to the feeder, just like the azaleas of old. Yet suppose you had taken a seat, back then, around 2 months past. If you had stood right here beside me, not a single bird sound would have reached your ears. That's how it was. Blood rushing loud enough to drown out everything else would have filled your ears instead. A machine meant for roads showed up where it didn't belong, on my land. It growled like it owned the place, though nobody invited it. 12 years now, I call Oak Creek Estates home. This place has been my address since then. Each home sits apart in design, part of a neighborhood built all at once, yet never quite matching, some grayish tint, while the grass seems trimmed by hand. Scissors. Life felt right inside these walls, truly. Safety wrapped around every corner, while classrooms offered steady learning. Back then, the children were small, yet mostly folks kept their distance without much fuss. If your trash can stayed in after 6, you're fine. Out back, the property takes an odd turn. Where most corners stop, mine keeps going, bending like it forgot where it started. Down a short loop road sits the spot marked Common Area. A tiny park appears there. Out back sits a gazebo never touched, followed by a path cutting through. That's why mine stands among the largest. Back then, those narrow strips beside houses were my weekend project. That effort, it added up fast. Over time, the costs reached a few grand. Weekends stretched into each one spent placing those particular premium azaleas alongside a few others. Hidden behind green walls, a quiet space just mine. There, away from eyes, life slowed down. This patch of earth felt like home more than any house ever did. Nowhere else offered that kind of peace. Have to see a neighbor's minivan. Then there's Linda. Out here, in every part of town, there's someone like Linda. Yeah, her, the one who runs the group others just show up to. Though part of the HOA, she moves through rooms as if signing official decrees. Her presence suggests authority far beyond neighborhood meetings. 5 years out of work now, yet it seems like strolling the dog might be her sole pastime. Little dog named Princess, a tiny poodle, snaps pictures of folks' unwanted plants to stick onto things. It strikes you how she speaks, so sharp, almost like a whisper turned up too loud. A high-pitched, pretend-friendly tone, as if talking to a very young child. Every now and then she would appear by the wooden fence, calling out, "Oh, David," she said one morning, eyes on the postbox. "Seems someone forgot to fix that loose flap again. It tilts sideways when the wind picks up. Saw it last Tuesday during the storm. Mail could fall right out if left open. You really should take a look sometime soon." A tiny bit of paint is missing here. Keeping things looking uniform matters a lot right now, don't we? Smiling would come first, then a nod. Simple, quiet. The broken mailbox gets repaired without much fuss. Easier that way. Resistance hardly ever wins. One of those people who deals with tight deadlines every day. Midway through a call, I sat at my desk, headset snug over my ears. Home office quiet, except for the voice coming through the speakers. A tremor ran through the floorboards that afternoon, just as the supplier called from Chicago. It wasn't the rumble of a heavy vehicle rolling past. The walls held their breath instead. A beat, really, followed by something deeper, pulsing slow beneath the floorboards. My eyes turned toward the window. For a second, I could not breathe. The glass blurred my view. My chest tightened like it forgot how to move. Time hung still. Nothing made sound. A machine stood there, not small but large, painted bright yellow, moving heaps of soil. right in the center of my azaleas. Not close by, right on top of them. I simply walked away without saying goodbye to the man on the call. The cord came loose in my hand. Out came the headset, tossed onto the desk, then I was moving, socks on tile, all the way to the side exit. The air carried a scent of diesel, mixed with something earthy from trampled mulch. Those bushes, once covered with the wards, stood right there. Bits torn apart, then mashed beneath the weight. Pink flecks tangled with splintered wood. A crush left it mangled, like petals drowned in dirt after stomping through dead branches. Tracks of this machine. Wait, what on earth is going on here? My voice came out loud, sharp, filling the air completely. Flailing my arms, out of control, wild in every motion. This youngster, wearing a bright vest, moved the levers backwards and the engine slowed to silence. A puzzled look crossed his face, eyes fixed on mine without recognition. He wiped sweat from his brow, speaking slow. That's where I'm at, down in the dirt, building something real. Foundation for what? This is my yard. You're on my property. Down he jumped from the cab, hands sliding behind to fetch something tucked at the rear. A crumpled sheet. He passed it my way. Sealed with a mark, this layout showed where things stood. A small oak tree appears on the Oak Creek Estates HOA emblem, followed by marks made by members of the board. HOA approved a new community maintenance enclosure right here, he said. He gestured toward a place way beyond where my land ended. That point sat at least 15 feet outside the boundary of one I owned. A solid base on the ground, walls standing at 6 feet, everything included, built to keep the mowers safe along with neighborhood salt spreaders. My body trembled, a steady quiver running through me. Shaking for real, not just feeling it inside. It didn't matter one bit what papers the HOA had agreed to. This land isn't mine. Mine is here. See those markers in the ground? Right there, just beyond the pavement, near that edge. Shoulders lifted slightly. Hey there, pal. My path follows wherever those markers show up. According to Linda, she gave directions. This place stood out. According to her, the area fell under what she called an easement. Heat rushed up my neck. Easement? My voice came out low.
Out of nowhere, like the noise pulled it closer, came a sharp click. Footsteps close behind. Turning, I saw Linda standing there. Her outfit included flat shoes, a loose coat. A scarf hung low across her shoulders. That moment, everything slowed down. That sharp white visor caught your eye first. Tucked in neatly went the polo, pressed just right above those crisp shorts. In her hand, a small grip on something steady. Down by her toes, the princess barked without pause. A clipboard rested nearby. "Well now, look who's awake," she chimed, flashing that unnervingly wide grin at me. Grinning now. Could this be real? The gear is at last coming off the pavement. A spot set apart just for that. This will push up how much every home here is worth. On soft feet I moved closer, bare beneath, stepping where broken things lay scattered across the garden bed. Garden? Linda, what is this? Why is there a tractor in my azaleas? Don't be dramatic, David. It's for the community, she said, her voice turning. Cooler now. Maps were checked. This spot the board decided. Your property sits within what's legally called a utility and maintenance easement. It wasn't used for regular living purposes because of that. Here it stayed, meant for shrubs, yet holding something else entirely. Our choice settled on this spot instead. A unanimous vote. A unanimous vote by people who don't live in this house? I asked, my voice low. Check the deed? Check the county? Wait, a survey? My land isn't yours because you say so. Linda let out a sigh, slow, heavy, full of letdown. David, this isn't going how we hoped. Look, turning this into a courtroom thing isn't the goal. Following the rules was part of settling in here. Improvement of spaces next to shared property may happen when the HOA acts. These changes aim to support community value. Work can begin without individual approval. Areas near collective sections might be upgraded over time. Decisions come from governing rules, not personal requests. Updates serve overall function, not private preference. Authority rests with the association by design. Even so, the neighbors had complained about the shrubs. Truth is, they'd started to spread too far beyond the yard. You think? Her voice cut through the noise. Kevin, keep going with the dig. The concrete has to go in by Thursday. There I stayed. Not a single syllable came out after that. It hit me at once, speaking to Linda. Linda sat there, eyes flat, as if nothing could reach her. Explaining rules felt pointless, like shouting into a closed room. Her attention drifted elsewhere, always somewhere far off. The idea of right or wrong barely made a dent. What mattered to others slipped right past her. She cared about her clipboard and her power. Back through the door I went, not headed toward the desk. Down into a chair at the kitchen table I settled. Watching the excavator's bucket dig in, lifting out the dirt I had once turned by hand. The machine chewed through the ground like it knew nothing of patience. Each scoop carried away a piece of what felt familiar. It moved without stopping, relentless under the gray morning light. What stood before was now gone in seconds. Hard to tell if progress meant loss or just change. 10 years went into tending it. Tiny I became, a guest in my own space. Then came the shift. Something shifted slowly, not suddenly, but like light changing across a wall. The emptiness began to fade. Instead of being trapped, there was movement. A different weight settled in. Less about loss, more about presence. This new sensation didn't rush. It waited. Then it replaced what had been there. Something much sharper. A logistics person, that is what I am. Precision fills every part of the work. Knowing precisely matters most. Ownership, location, responsibility. Each pallet shows where it belongs. Someone always knows its place, its path, its keeper. That evening I reached for my phone, then dialed Marcus, my brother-in-law. His work revolves around property. A man who spends his free time diving into legal details. That's exactly what makes him a lawyer.
Marcus, I told him, a surveyor is what I'm after. Someone who knows land better than anyone around here. Not just any. This has to be the top one available. Here. Yesterday. Faster than anyone expected, time slipped into a rush of high-stakes tension and long conversations across continents. Money burned through fingers just to keep lines open when it mattered most. Out beyond where most folks would have quit, the team kept at the enclosure. Truth be told, massive it truly was. Buried in the back corner, that ugly little shed caught my attention. While sorting old boxes, I nearly tripped over it. 12 years back, I came across the first closing papers. The plat was there too. Over near the corner of the page, there it was, the title insurance policy. Following that, tucked just below, appeared the word easement. Marcus got on the phone that night. He said, "Dave, I'm going through the county files. Linda, it's not true. Your land has an easement, yet it serves only for drainage. A strip of land goes to the county. Water flows through it when it rains. This isn't open for any random activity. A path lets the homeowners group put up constructions. Actually placing a concrete slab on such an area? A drainage easement breaks city rules completely. Heavy rain could cause problems then. Water flows directly toward your neighbor's basement when blocked by concrete." Outside the glass, my eyes caught movement. Workers finished spreading the stone layer just moments before. Now came the pour. Wet, gray, heavy. Concrete. A delivery truck had been set to arrive by 7 in the morning the following day. "What do I do?" I asked. "Well," Marcus said, a smile clear in how he spoke, "you might say Weeks go by before cities finish the task, yet Dave found another path. Instead of waiting, he moved faster. What's the Dave way? Precision, Dave. Total, undeniable precision. Just past dawn, light still spilling slowly across the sky. Coolness hung in the air. Early morning air hung thick. Outside by 6:30, alongside a fellow called Pete. This one had a name, Pete, and stood near me then. Mist blurred everything past the fence. Old at 70, she carried a worn-out orange vest. Her gear included a transit level, one showing its age as if it witnessed the building of the Great Pyramids. Pete stayed quiet. Through his lens he narrowed his eyes, then drove in a few stakes and tied string. "Right then," Pete replied, flicking a drop of tobacco spit onto the lawn. "There." Deep in the measurement, 16 feet off target. No attempt to verify. A guess stood in place of a check. A piece of paper came into my hands, official, sealed. The document showed marks proving it had passed review. Early morning light touched the street when the concrete truck growled into the cul-de-sac. Heavy and wide, it rolled forward slowly. Spinning cylinder filled with wet concrete. Workers from yesterday already on site, waiting along. Some write angry letters. Others drift on water. Linda appeared then. With a cup of coffee gripped in her fingers, she held Princess close against her side. Standing there as if the scissors were waiting, the crowd hushed around her. A moment stretched thin, sharp at the edges. Not quite ceremony, but close enough to fool the eye. Out by the boundary of the job area, boots scuffed loose gravel. My work clothes hung heavy under a slow sky. This moment was different. Not a single sock in sight. My shiny shoes were already laced up. "Hey there, morning, Linda." "Morning, David. See how far along it is now? Once we finish, everything will feel fresh." Slide into the jacket first thing, then pull it tight at the sides slowly. Looking at the man driving the concrete truck, the chute began to move as he reached for it, over the gravel. "Wait right there, pal," I told the driver. "Maybe have a look at this first, before you pour." After I gave him the form Pete completed, the driver glanced down. A pause came before he reacted. Stakes, once placed by Pete, caught the eye. Painted sharply with bold red no marks today. Not a whisper of what they meant, just there, standing. Something about their tilt said more than words ever did. Gone was any doubt. They weren't warnings yesterday. Now, impossible to ignore. Each one leaned like it had been arguing all night. The color didn't shout, it waited. Trespassing tape. Linda stepped closer, voice sharp. "What is going on?" she said. "David, remember my words. We already discussed this. There was a plan. Easement." For a moment, nothing moved. My words hung in the air. Sharp, clear, not her. The quiet after felt wider before. Some windows flickered open. A dog barked once, then stopped. Now some of the nearby people stepped outside, standing on their front steps. Water runoff rights, something Marcus, my lawyer, already checked on with E. Right now you're trying to put up a lasting building in a county, a space set aside for water flow kept within privately owned land. Out came my phone. I had sent the survey as a PDF to the HOA earlier that day. Law office is involved. I included the city building inspector on the email thread. Most crucial, though. Over the crunch of loose stones I moved, pausing exactly at the edge where pavement should have been. This area belongs to me now, considered under development. Because it sits on my property, anyone else, without permission from the city, it wouldn't grant one anyway. A shed built over a drainage path breaks the rules. Should that slab reach here, earth beneath my nails, someone broke the law by wrecking land and poisoning nature. My report goes on record today. Harm done is real. Proof exists. Officials will check soil stains, trace spills back to the source. Consequences follow when rules are crushed like glass under boots. Watch out. This risk lands right on you, Linda. It's personal, aimed at those running the HOA board. Association, you. That was enough for the man pouring concrete. Payment wasn't happening. Just enough to get caught up in legal trouble. Back came the chute, moving because he pulled it. "I can't pour if there's a dispute, lady," the driver said, looking at Linda. "Company policy. I'm out of here." Back inside the cab, he eased the truck into reverse. The tires crunched against gravel as the vehicle started moving retroward. Shifting gears slowly, he watched the mirrors closely. Dust curled up behind the wheels. His hands stayed steady on the wheel. Linda's face, how do I put it? One moment her skin held that dull, lifeless shade of grayish. Some homes turned a dark, swollen violet. The cup trembled in her grip, nearly spilling the drink. Water spilled past the edge of her cup. Her voice cracked. "This isn't happening," she cried out. $4,000, gone just like that. This start began with them. Their choice shaped it. Each voice counted, clear and loud. Then the residents can pay me back for my azaleas, I said. I pulled a second. Out came a scrap of paper tucked deep in my coat. Here's what they charged for smashing up 12 things. Older azaleas that have won prizes sit beside 3 hedges meant for seclusion, along with a price tag tied to them. That emergency pro survey costs $5,800, worth every penny when things go sideways. You've got till Friday to send that check my way, otherwise it's off to the county clerk we go. You're being petty, she yelled. It's just a yard.
Close. I moved nearer. Quiet. My voice stayed low. No need to shout. This is my space, Linda, not yours. It wasn't something you questioned. That came back to haunt you. Worse still, believing I'd just let it go. Do the math. Week 2 hit hard. Things moved fast then. A note arrived from the lawyers representing the HOA, apologetic in tone, almost hesitant. About 2 days had passed when it showed up. Later on, it became clear that lawyers pay attention if you mention construction near water flow areas. If there is no permit for the easement, most people would rather hide away. That was their message. Linda better keep her mouth closed. Stay off the land is all. Her presence here ends now. Quiet means quiet. No warnings again. Yet there was still more to come. Linda made sure plenty of people heard how I stood in the way of moving things forward. That day, I walked into the usual HOA gathering. Most times, you'll find only half a dozen folks there looking checked out. Down in the community center's basement, 40 folks turned up this round, news having spread quiet-like. Had spread. Linda sat up near the window, her face carrying more weight than it did last season. She wasn't just tired. Something behind her eyes had shifted. The way she held her coffee said enough. Time hadn't been kind, not lately. Her shoulders dipped forward like they remembered a colder past. Even the light seemed careful around her. On my feet then, voice ready for the open floor. I might have an idea, I told them. Lately, I have been going over the HOA paperwork. Money talks. Turns out, Linda's been getting what they call a stipend for keeping up the block. Checks not listed in the rules. We used $4,000 on a slab of concrete was torn up by us, paid for entirely out of pocket after inspectors rejected it. The approval never came through. Just skipped the simple task of checking boundaries. Glancing at the walls, I saw faces growing restless, not shouting, but voices rising like steam from a kettle left too long. It stings when the price tag climbs each month. I'm moving for a vote of no confidence, I said, and I'm proposing that we, over by the gazebo, shift the enclosure back toward the shared space. There, just past the structure, place it where people usually gather. Put it in that open spot behind near the path everyone takes. Set it down in the center of the common section, right beyond the frame. It fits. Linda covers the cost of the azalea she ruined from there. Unauthorized stipend. Heat exploded through the space. Air turned sharp. Silence cracked like glass. Out of the question, really. Precision, Dave's method, that held up. Folks just aren't interested. They might not give a thought to your azaleas, yet money, that always grabs their attention. Linda left her job after dark. With no option open, she walked away. Power taken by the group in charge. 3 weeks passed before a check arrived by post. Her strength came from walking poodles. Mail landed in my box one morning without warning. $6,000. With those funds, I brought on a skilled team for yard work. Not only did they handle the basics. Start again with the azaleas. A solid stone wall holds things back now, while something smoother follows, a better privacy fence. These days, sitting out front, Linda is nowhere in sight. Not once does she take Princess for a stroll. These days, she does not walk by my place. Maybe the route through back streets suits her better now. Here's something else. The coolest bit? It gets even better from here. Last night, the fresh face leading the neighborhood group, Gary, a friendly sort who happens to work for He passed by while I was living there. Pausing, he faced the fresh wall. A smile came then. Looks great, Dave, he said. The line looks perfect. To the inch, Gary, I said. To the inch. Maybe the point here is certain folks believe they're having a piece of paper sits beside a heading. Rules hold no weight there. Boundaries mean little in their minds.
might be ideas. Still, when hours pass, your house is the spot where. Here, things seem managed, but letting someone else step in. If you give them 5 feet, soon enough, the entire yard is gone. Now here's something odd. Has anyone actually dealt with a neighbor or HOA that simply went ahead and made their own rules out of nowhere? Imagine waking up one day to find someone else claiming your property. What went through your mind when reality shifted like that? Maybe you chose calm words instead of anger. Perhaps silence felt stronger than protest. Was enough just to guess, or did Pete and the transit level need to make an appearance? Hang on a sec, this cup's almost done. After that, it's time to head outside with the watering can. The azaleas need a drink. Appears sharper now.